আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, আমি স্টার্ট করে দিয়েছি, আমি নিয়ে চলে যাচ্ছি ওদিকে। শুরু করে দিয়েছি, আর কথা বলবো না, নিয়ে চলে যাচ্ছি। Right, so come on in everyone. রাইট, কত পাতা যেন, yes, so just put the phone on silent mode. Silent. ওকে, সো কত পাতা এবার দেখতে হবে। রাইট, ওকে। পেজ 168, লাস্টের দিক থেকে 3 নম্বর স্ট্যান্জা। রাইট, সো এটা দাঁড়াচ্ছে এইটা। She shrieked, she tore her hair, she beat her breast, right? Yes. Right, yes, thank you. So, Thisbe found Cadmus lying in the pangs of death, and she was almost driven to madness with grief and hopelessness and, almost insane with grief. Yes. Did I say Pyramus found Thisbe? Did I say that? Okay. So, an obvious slip of tongue. Right. Welcome to the class, Urjit. So, yes. So, Laga state. So she raised the body and embraced it round, and bathed with tears unfeigned the gaping wound. Okay. So again a spelling oriented rhyme. You see, R-O-U-N-D and W-O-U-N-D. Pronunciations are different. So she raised the body and embraced it round, and bathed with tears unfeigned the gaping wound. Okay. So she embraced it, embraced the body of Pyramus, and raised it. Okay. Lifted up his upper body a bit and embraced it. She must have been strong, wasn't she? Quite strong to have been able to raise Pyramus's body in a state when he was already dying, almost weak and powerless, with no strength of his own left to even lift his body up a bit. So শরীর ছেড়ে দিয়েছে, সেই অবস্থায় থিসবি lifted him up a bit and embraced it. So she must have been strong, pretty strong, you know. So she raised the body and embraced it round, and bathed with tears and feigned the gaping wound. So bathed with tears, so she was crying profusely. And what did she bathe with? Her tears, the gaping wound. So the gaping, open, okay? Usually say gaping. I think it comes from the word gap somehow. It's kind of related. And the gaping wound, মানে হা হয়ে থাকা সেই ক্ষত, the wound that was created when Pyramus had shoved the sword in like that and then pulled it out again. So there was this gaping wound, and she was bathing that wound with her tears. তার সমস্ত চোখের জল ওই woundের উপর ঝরে পড়ছিলেন. It seemed like she wanted to wash the wound with her tears. Okay, bathed with unfeigned tears. So unfeigned. So feigning, F-E-I-G-N, to feign, that is F-E-I-G-N, feign. To feign means to pretend. So feigning is pretending. So unfeigned tears means unpretended tears, which means genuine. Genuine tears arising from genuine grief, genuine sorrow, genuine shock, genuine hopelessness. And all of these indicate genuine love. So, and bathe with unfeigned tears the gaping wound. Then her face, then her warm lips to the cold face apply, and is it thus, thus we meet, she cried. Okay, so there's a dialogue coming up after a gesture. The gesture is that she kisses Pyramus on his face. Okay, now see, as young adults, it's not difficult for you to understand the various essences of kisses. Okay, so kisses can be of a lot of types, and the kind of kiss that happens here is very much in contrast with the kind of kiss we find them having indulged in before. So যে দেয়ালটা তোলা হয়েছিল, ইভেন সেই দেয়ালের মধ্যে দিয়ে when they were trying to relive moments of togetherness, relive moments of kiss, moments of passionate kisses, সেই কিস আর এই কিসের মধ্যে অনেকখানি পার্থক্য. So, and it's supposed to be, right, because Pyramus is dying. This is a different moment altogether, and the very same love, the very same romantic intensity can actually give rise to a very different gesture and way more different or differently intense emotion in such a moment. Hence, she didn't exactly kiss Pyramus on the lips as lovers usually under normal circumstances do. Pyramus was dying. This was no moment of physical love. This was no moment of sharing a kiss that lovers usually indulge in. Here her care and concern has got no category. It cannot be categorized differently as romantic care either, because the kiss she indulges in is one very affectionate, and her intense grief during this moment does not allow any other kind of sentiments to get in. So she's almost driven mad by the possibility of Pyramus dying. And you would note that in other places, although you mustn't have read any of them, যেখানে some near and dear person of someone, a person near and dear to someone dies, that the other person to is definitely not romantically related to this person, and even they respond with similar gestures. So there are episodes of moments of death or dying moments of people related in other ways apart from romantically or romantic relations. And in those moments, even fathers trying to bid goodbye to daughters, or daughters seeing their father die, daughters to mothers, mothers to daughters, mothers to sons, sons to mothers, sons to fathers, fathers to sons, all these combinations would welcome such similar gestures of kissing someone on the forehead, someone on the cheeks, any part of the face. And then kissing on the lips would be a very specific gesture for a lover, but even a lover wouldn't indulge in this sort of a kiss during a moment like this. But sometimes, perhaps, I'll come to that later. কেন আমি বলছি যে why I'm focusing on the nature of the kiss. এটা আমি once this whole thing is done, because we are nearing the place where Pyramus is going to die. So after that I'll bring in another reference. I'll talk about a work which was inspired by the Pyramus and Thisbe myth. You'll find similarities, and you'll get to know why exactly I'm focusing on the nature of the kiss right now. So what is Thisbe doing? She is kissing Pyramus on his face, maybe on the forehead, maybe on the cheeks, but it's very, very evident that she is no way kissing him on the lips like lovers usually do. So this is an intense moment of grief where he's dying. So I think her affectionate gesture, her care, her concerns, and her immense love for him comes out through those affectionate kisses on his face. And such a gesture, I think it speaks volumes about the depth of Thisbe's love for Pyramus. I would like to connect this with the ideas of superficial love and true deep spiritual love, because somehow, now I don't know if I should be making this statement, but somehow I feel that Pyramus and Thisbe's love, as it has been described, it transcends emotional boundaries time and again. And the gesture of Thisbe kissing his face shows us that Thisbe's love, the passion and emotions being contrasted. You know, emotions, feelings, true feelings for someone, loving that person is a bit different from being in love. So being in love and loving, they are a bit different, okay? Yes, and the Othello thing, I was going to refer to something else as well. I'll come to that. And yes, this is a nice reference to Othello. Yes, since I talked about it before. So no, actually, but then okay, so Desdemona, whom he loves so much, but there was no sexual connotations in that kiss. It was full of emotions and affections. I'm really eager to know which kiss you are talking about in this case. Which kiss has not got the sexual connotations? I would talk about Othello and another reference in a moment, but we'll complete with this. But I would like to know, how do you interpret Othello's kiss with this, the way Thisbe is kissing Pyramus, death being in the background? So in either way they are going to die. When ওখানে Desdemona was going to die, and here Pyramus is about to die. So, and that moment, a kiss. Yes, of course, before killing Desdemona. But do you consider Othello's kiss devoid or completely devoid of sexual connotations? In that case, I think I would like to differ a bit in this opinion, because I'm gonna talk about it, okay, in a moment. So, but this much we can gather up, that Thisbe's emotions are so very deep. So Thisbe's and Pyramus's love is in no way superficial, right? So that kind of a thing, and she, I think what I am actually trying to get at is that when love crosses the boundary of superficial limits, okay, I think it reaches a depth where the nature of the emotion, the feelings, the concerns and cares, they stay no different than it would have been for another family member, like your father or your mother or your sister. I think when love crosses certain boundaries, your lover becomes as own and dear to you as your family. And most of the times, the sexuality between you and your lover becomes a parallel channel of sorts, okay? Exactly, Shushmita. That's the point you would sort of expect one to focus on. Yes, we'll be coming to that. This is going to be an interesting discussion today. I feel so. So let us be done with this narrative first. So I'll talk about Othello, the point you're talking about, and also look at another reference. And yes, so we'll talk about it. So what I'm trying to get at is Thisbe's emotions are so deep and genuine that it it just doesn't remain limited, or what I'm trying to say is her gestures does not render it any different from other relationships which are not romantic. Yes, in the case of Thisbe, it was totally rid of any sexual connotation. Yes, true that, yes. অরিজিৎ, আই থিঙ্ক তোমার ওখানে নেটওয়ার্কের সমস্যা হচ্ছে, সো হেন্স দ্য প্রবলেম. I hope the others can hear me clearly. Can you? And Orijit, do not worry. Once this video is uploaded on YouTube and I post the link in the group, you will be able to listen to the whole audio uninterrupted. Okay? So yes. So in case of Thisbe, it's completely rid of that. And Thisbe's love, what I am actually trying to get at, I think it's such an inexplicable kind of an emotion, or even the point that I'm trying to make, I'm finding it difficult to frame in words, but I felt that Thisbe's reactions over here when Pyramus is dying, and the way she reacts to the whole thing, it proves about not only the depth of her emotions, and that it's almost in no way different from even motherly love. Her cares are almost no different than maternal care. That's what I'm actually trying to get at. So you know what, সত্যিকারের ভালোবাসা যদি হয়, I feel, and these things actually cannot be theorized, right? These are ideas you gather from your own life experiences or your observations of people around you, or your own thoughts or perceptions about the feeling of love, how you view it. So from that, what I feel, when it's true love we are dealing with, it's no way different from the love one feels for their fathers and mothers or their sisters, closely knit family bonds, you know. True love grows as strong as closely knit family bonds, I believe. And Pyramus and Thisbe were bonded in such love. And এই মুহূর্তে Thisbe's reaction, Pyramusের মারা যাওয়ার সময়টা, it's almost in no way different from how perhaps Pyramus's mother would have reacted to this. So her care and her love is almost motherly. And then I think when love is genuine, both lovers play many a part for each other. Not just lovers, they become primarily their great friends. If love is genuine and it's a successful, genuine, true relationship, then lovers are primarily friends. Then they're almost parental to each other. The male might be like a father to his female lover at times. In moments of emotional crisis, he almost becomes the father of the woman, or the woman becomes the mother of the man in moments of emotional crisis. Yes, of course a lover can love like a mother. Each lover can love like in cases of females, they can love like a mother, a sister, a friend. And then of course the bit that is left, I think it comes in the end when a relationship crosses such superficial boundaries of physical attraction and physical love, the play of hormones, when they cross such boundaries, I think sexuality becomes the last one in priority, or not really that. I think it's a parallel thing, but it's never the first priority. It's definitely parallel and equally important, an integral part of a romantic relationship, all of that, but it is not primary. It is not primary. There might be nights on end when a successful couple might share the same bed to sleep at night, and sleep only, like quite literally sleep at night, maybe for 4 or 5 days at a stretch. Nothing happens between them, no physical exchange. In a successful relationship, if the emotional bonding is so strong, sexuality matters only as a part of the relationship. It's not the primary compulsion anymore. Hormones are not what guides you then. Attraction is not what guides you then. The emotion does. And hence, even the absence of sexuality for a long time might not mean anything. It might not just mean যে তাদের মধ্যে কিছু আর পড়ে নেই. It's not like that. It's very spontaneous, and it's supposed to be spontaneous. এবং 2-3 দিন 4 দিন একটা স্ট্রেচ তাদের মধ্যে কোনো সংযোগ ঘটলো না মানে এই নয় যে তাদের মধ্যে সব শেষ বা কিছু, সেটা তরফ থেকে আসার মতো জায়গাটা, and মানে it changes moods throughout the day. And কখনো তারা ভাই বোনের মতো ঝগড়া করে, and it sounds funny, I know, but কখনো তারা ভাই বোনের মতো ঝগড়া করছে বা যে স্নেহটা একে অপরের প্রতি প্রদর্শন করছে, it almost looks like they're brothers and sisters. Sometimes they become really great friends when they talk about stuff and share things with each other. Sometimes when one is ill physically, or one is so mentally depressed that the other one is emotionally supporting the other, they almost treat each other like parents, okay? One becoming the father or the other one becoming the mother sometimes. And I think this is the reason why every girl looks for the characteristics of her father in her lover. So if a man resembles a girl's father in many ways, by way of character, by way of his practices, habits and thoughts and punctuality, all the other abstract qualities other than appearance, of course. The appearance does not matter, but the rest of the qualities, if they match with a girl's father, the girl is very likely to fall for such a man. And conversely, a man looks for the qualities that are there in his mother, in his consort, in his future wife or his partner. And this again brings us back to the ideas of Electra complex and Oedipus complex. Okay, the two plays that have give coinage to these terms, Oedipus the king, সেই নাটকটি, এবং ইলেকট্রা এই নাটকটি, এই দুটোর জন্য এই কয়েনেজ দুটো পসিবল হয়েছে, but very successful coinages, because this is a trait we find as something to be very universal. Like 95% or perhaps more of the girls or girl children are very, very fond of their fathers, and 95% or more of the boys turn out to be favorites of their mothers. Okay, it's true. So we spent quite some time on this line, but then this speaks a lot about Thisbe's and Pyramus's relationship and Thisbe's emotions. Yes. So then her warm lips to the cold face applied. Now, okay. So now after talking about the emotions which are engaging in this line, the thing that we must note after this is then her warm lips to the cold face applied. So there's this huge contrast, this juxtaposition of life, liveliness and lifelessness, or one on the one image is of life, the vital force of life, and the other is the receding, declining force of life. So Pyramus is dying and Thisbe is still alive and full of life and warm, lively, youthful. So her warm lips, so her lips are still warm, she's full of life still. And Pyramus is dying, his cold face, and she's applying her warm lips to the cold face of Pyramus, kissing him. Perhaps in some way subconsciously trying to revive his life, trying to instill some of her own life force into her lover's system, with a vain hope that he might recover, he might not die, perhaps. So her warm lips, this juxtaposition, okay, her warm lips to the cold face applied, and is it thus, thus we meet, she cried. So now the dialogue comes in. And is it thus, thus we meet? Is this how we were fated to meet? এইভাবে কি আমাদের দেখা হওয়ার কথা ছিল? You were like when you are dying and I can do nothing to save you. এইভাবে দেখা হওয়ার কথা ছিল. This is our fate. She's lamenting her fate. She's lamenting her fate. She's lamenting the death of Pyramus. So, my Pyramus, whence sprung thy cruel fate? My Pyramus, speak, or 'tis too late. And the passion with which she's appealing to Pyramus, she's trying to get him to speak, she's trying to somehow bring him to respond in some way or the other to her calls. The expressions, my Pyramus, exclamated like that, beautiful. And God, this is painful. My Pyramus, whence sprung thy cruel fate? My Pyramus, speak, or 'tis too late. So she could almost sense the life of Pyramus slipping out of Pyramus gradually and perhaps rapidly, and she's already panicking. She wants to hear a few last words from him, with the faint hope that he might just speak and then he lives, he doesn't die. Constantly calling him my Pyramus, my very own Pyramus, who is a part of me. Feels like it's gonna make me cry a second time. My Pyramus, whence sprung thy cruel fate? So from where? Whence? So whence means from where, okay? Whence means from where. So from where did your cruel fate spring? How did this happen? My Pyramus, from whence did thy cruel fate spring? Whence sprung thy cruel fate? My Pyramus, speak, or 'tis too late. Come on, Pyramus, speak out, speak to me, tell me something, utter a few words to me before it's too late. E-R-E, 'tis too late, E-R-E, before it is too late. Speak. I thy own Thisbe, but one word implore, one word thy Thisbe never asked before. Okay? I thy own Thisbe, but one word implore, one word thy Thisbe never asked before. I just want to hear one word from you. I never asked for this word from you ever before. I never asked of you to speak like this to me ever before. I implore, I beg of you, just speak one word. I, thy own Thisbe. So there she says, my Pyramus and thy own Thisbe. Oh, the intensity of the emotion, my goodness. I, thy own Thisbe, but one word implore. Just one word I want to hear from you, Pyramus. One word thy Thisbe never asked before. At Thisbe's name, awaked, he opened wide his dying eyes, with dying eyes he tried on her to dwell, but closed them slow and died. The 3 lines which closes Pyramus's life, the last 3 lines that closes Pyramus's life, after which he is dead. He is there no more. This is hard. Sorry about that. So at Thisbe's name, awaked, he opened wide his dying eyes. With dying eyes, he tried to on her to dwell, but closed them slow and died. So at Thisbe's name, when Thisbe kept on speaking her name and calling him by his name, Thisbeর মুখে ওর নিজের নাম শুনে, এবং when she was saying that thy own Thisbe, I think before losing consciousness, Thisbe was the only name he was muttering and thinking about. Thisbe was all he thought about. So it's almost like hearing her name right before dying, he came to full consciousness just for once. It was his effort to glance at Thisbe for the last time, one last glance to his lover before he died. So at Thisbe's name, he awaked and tried, he opened wide his dying eyes. He was almost dying and he opened wide his dying eyes, trying to come into full consciousness and to see Thisbe one last time. With dying eyes he tried on her to dwell, but closed them slow and died. So he tried to look on her, to look at her and keep his gaze fixed on her for a while, but he couldn't. He was dying. He was exhausted of all his life, and then slowly closed his eyes and died forever. I keep on telling you na, this translation, Sir Samuel Garth, this translation is a genius. This person is a genius. I would actually like to look at the part this part of the Pyramus and Thisbe story and how it has been presented in this other edition that we have back in our departmental library. I would really like to have a look at that book and how it expresses these portions. And I hope that I would be very sure that I was in no way wrong in selecting this e-text as our text instead of that translation, that edition. And then, so the fatal cause was now at last explored. Her veil she knew and saw his sheathless sword. So the fatal cause was now at last explored. Her veil she knew and saw his sheathless sword. Before I explain this, also remember how Thisbe was washing Pyramus's wounds with her tears, bathing them, and how it's kind of reflects how Pyramus, again, on the other hand, was washing the veil full of blood, full of what he thought to be Thisbe's blood, with his tears. So, to these two lines. Such parallels are these are parallels which are drawn, and I think they are meant to be considered on. Okay? So, each washing the other's blood with their tears speaks a lot of their emotions. Now, this is something different, that the veil that Pyramus had in his hand, that retained the blood of the oxen. But that's not important. Pyramus thought it to be Thisbe's blood. To Pyramus it was Thisbe's blood, and it was Thisbe's only last remain, which he washed with his tears. And here Thisbe washed dying Pyramus's wounds with her tears. Okay. Now, the fatal cause was now at last explored. Her veil she knew and saw his sheathless sword. So, now the fatal cause, the cause, she was asking, whence sprang thy cruel fate? She was asking Pyramus, kotha theke ei ghotona ghotlo, kibhabe ghotlo? So that was the cause of his death. She was inquiring the cause of his death. And now, the cause of his death, the fatal cause of Pyramus's death was explored, was brought to knowledge, was known to Thisbe. The fatal cause, fatal, something which leads to death. The fatal cause, the cause which led Pyramus to death. The fatal cause was now at last explored. Her veil she knew. The moment she saw her veil, she knew, and saw his sheathless sword. She saw his sheathless sword. Sheth, Sheath. Okay, it's like the scepter, like the holder of a container of a sword, the case in which the sword is kept and hung to the waist mostly. তলোয়ারের যে খাপ, sheath, and sheathless sword মানে uncovered, কন্টেনার থেকে বের করা, মানে তার খাপ থেকে বের করা, খাপ খোলা তলোয়ার. So saw his sheathless sword. From thy own hand thy ruin thou hast found, she said, but love first taught that hand to wound. Even I for thee as bold a hand can show, and love which shall as true direct the blow. Okay, so now she understood what happened. She understood that, she seeing her veil, she understood that the torn veil, the veil must have been torn by the lioness. Seeing the blood smeared on it. Pyramus must have thought that she died, hence he took his own life. This was very clear to Thisbe now. So the whale she knew and saw the child. From thy own hand thy ruin thou hast found. So from thy own hand thy ruin thou hast found. So you have found your own ruin from your own hand. So you have committed suicide, you have killed yourself. She said, but love first taught that hand to wound. Even I, for thee, as bold a hand can show, and love which shall, as true, direct the blow. Okay? So now she was considering of killing herself, which is why she's saying, but love first taught that hand to wound. Even I, for thee, as bold a hand can show, and love which shall, as true, direct the blow. So in case of you, love taught you to kill yourself, right? But love first taught that hand to wound. That hand means Pyramus's hand. So love taught your hand to wound yourself, right? Because you thought I was dead, you wounded yourself and you killed yourself for me. Since you thought I was dead, for my love, for your love for me. And even I, for thee, as bold a hand can show. So for even I would be doing it for thee, because you, as a bold hand can show, a bold hand of Pyramus, masculine strong arm of Pyramus, a bold hand can show. So you have shown me the path, you have been a guide to what I should do now. You have shown me what I must do now. So you have been a guide in that. So your hand can show, and love which shall as true direct the blow. So you have now been my guide, and love will direct the blow as true as it has been to you in guiding the blow that you brought to yourself. So যে blow মানে যে আঘাত তুমি নিজেকে দিয়ে করেছো, ভালোবাসা সেই আঘাতকে সমস্ত পূর্ণ সত্যতার সঙ্গে আমার দিকে চ্যানেল করবে। The blade, it will channel the blade to me with as much truth as it has done in your case. And like your hand, your strong hand has shown me the path to kill myself, এখানে with the help of love's guidance, I'll also kill myself. I will against the woman's weakness strive, and never lamented youth survive. Okay, and never the lamented youth survive. So I will against the woman's weakness strive. Again, there's this stereotype being drawn in woman's weakness. About this I spoke yesterday, so not yesterday, on the last class. I wouldn't talk about it anymore. It's very clear that it's that stereotype being brought in. But there's one extra indicative here. Shekhane, it was the author's voice calling women the weaker sex or the fearful sex, right? সেটা অথরের ভয়েস বলছিল, বাট হিয়ার ইটস থ্রু Thisbe's character, Thisbe's mouth is this being spoken. So while it repeats the thoughts that used to be very general about women at that point of time, so it's basically on one hand expressing exactly what the author thinks about women, or used to think about women at that time, or how the entire society looked upon women. But the difference which is there, or the new thing that we find, is how women perceived themselves is also being expressed here. Shekhane chilo, it's the fearful sex becoming fearless. It was a third person assertion, but ekhane Thisbe herself is asserting herself as the weaker sex by means of saying the woman's weakness সেটাকে আমি অ্যাভয়েড করবো, that I'll strive to negate that against woman's weakness. Okay, so against the woman's weakness strive. So it means that women also actually resonated such thoughts, and they thought themselves, and or perhaps they bowed down to patriarchal pressure and believed themselves to be the weaker sex, to be the weaker gender, and hence she calls herself the weaker sex, saying, against the woman's weakness strive, and never thee, lamented youth, survive. So when I will not survive you, এই কথাটা বলার মানে কি, I will not survive you মানে I will not outlive you. So I won't live after you have died. So I won't survive you, the lamented you. The মানে you, lamented youth, the lamented youth. So you were a youth who lamented the death of his lover, perceived death of his lover. You thought me to be dead and you lamented that. And your lamented soul, your lamented youth, I won't survive. I won't outlive you. I'll also die with you, following you close at your heels on the way to heaven, perhaps, where we might unite in death. মনে আছে রেভেনের সময় বলেছিলাম, class parade and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, Edene. Is there balming Gilead? Tell me, I implore, quoth the raven, nevermore. এখানে কোনো nevermore এর গল্প নেই, যাই হোক. And never the lamented youth survive. The world may say, I caused, alas, thy death, but saw thee breathless and resigned my breath. But saw thee breathless and resigned my breath. So the world might say that it was me who took your life. In the sense, she was not present there because of the lioness, but that's not important. When she's making this comment, she's actually speaking about the public mentality, the social criticism one might have to face in such situations. If she would live, she would definitely be accused with his death. It would be blamed upon her or anyone at that. This is not something patriarchal, this is general, because Pyramus was also fearing that Thisbe had died and blamed himself for it. He said that I was the cause of your death, since I fixed the place. And Thisbe thinks that I am the cause of your death because I was not here, because of the fear of the lion or whatever, but I was not here. Since I was not here, and I left my veil here in my haste, you thought me to have died, and since you killed yourself because of that, I am the one to blame. And people may say that I am the one to blame, but they'll also say that yes, perhaps he died because of her, but when she found him dead, she herself lived no more. She resigned her breath. She died. She took her own life. Okay? But saw thee breathless and resigned my breath. Okay? Fate, though it conquers, shall no triumph gain. Fate that divides us still divides in vain. Okay? So fate, though it conquers, shall no triumph gain. So the fate, though it conquers, so fate is the fate, okay? And the fates were again, even in Greco-Roman mythology, fates were also personified, okay? So ekhane, though such personified forms of fate are not being referred to, fate as a whole, luck or fate, bhagyo, but then জিতে গেল, ভাগ্য জিতে গেল, বা জীবন হেরে গেল, stuff like that. It's in the same way that somehow animating it, giving it a bit of life, an abstract mind or something, as if fate has an abstract mind and everything. সেইভাবে বলছে that fate, though it conquers, so it has conquered us, fate has overpowered us, fate did not let us be alive together and live a happy life. So fate, though it conquers, so that's the conqueror, that's the conquest. Fate is the conqueror and this is his conquest. Okay, but fate, though it conquers, shall no triumph gain. It has momentarily conquered us, but no triumph gain. It shall gain no triumph. It will not gain ultimate victory. I would not let fate win. I would not let fate defeat us completely. And fate would gain no triumph. It would have no gain, no victory. Okay? Fate that divides us still divides in vain. So fate that has divided us this way, still it's trying to divide us in vain. In vain, why? Because we were divided in life. Since you took your life and everything, we are divided right now. But since I'm going to take my own life, it divides us in vain, because we won't be divided after I die. We'll be united in life after death. So it divides us in vain. বৃথা আমাদেরকে ডিভাইড করছে, চেষ্টা করছে, পারবে না, because we'll unite in life after death. If we couldn't unite in life, we'll unite in death. And still and hence fate cannot divide us. Okay, now both our cruel parents hear my prayer to offer, for us both I dare. So even now she's addressing both of the parents. Okay, both Thisbe's mom and dad and Pyramus's mom and dad. To both of them she makes this prayer, and this prayer she makes also in behalf of Pyramus as well. So my prayer to offer for us both I dare. So I dare to offer this prayer on behalf of us both. And hear my prayer, our cruel parents. You'll need to know this. Oh, see our ashes in one urn confined, whom love at first and fate at last has joined. Okay, so oh, see our ashes in one urn confined. Okay, so see mane see to it, look to it, please do this and make sure, that is, see that our ashes, so make sure our ashes in one urn confined. So please, this is our last prayer, our dying prayer, and this would have been both of our wishes. Had Pyramus been alive, he could have told you this was his very wish as well. And make it sure that after we die, when we are burnt, as you know that Grecians and Romans, these people, they were burnt and their ashes were put in urns, and then those urns were buried into the ground. Okay, and then a tomb was created, mausoleum of sorts. So make sure our ashes in one urn confined, আমাদের অস্থিগুলো যেন একটা urn-এর মধ্যে থাকে. Urn মনে আছে নিশ্চয়ই, those containers. Okay, so in one urn confined, so even after death our ashes, if they are together in one urn, that way she tries to feel the unity after death. Okay, unity with Pyramus, her union with Pyramus after death. And this in a way also makes me think that Okay, Orijit, no problem there. You mean your net pack had ended, right? Okay, so bit of a grammar check there. Acha. So yes, to make sure our ashes are confined in one urn, and this leads me to think that perhaps we all speak about life after death. Just hold on for a moment, okay? Yes, sorry about that. Just had a glass of refreshing lassi, ghol, doyer ghol. And by the way, this is not exactly a classroom environment, right? So I hope while doing your class, you do not deprive yourself of certain refreshments like this. Maybe tea, coffee, lassi, milk, milkshake, banana shake, কলা চটকে দুধের মধ্যে দিয়ে চিনি গুলে দাও তাতে কয়েক চামচ। যাই হোক, what was I saying? Oh shit, I lost track. Thisbe. What was I saying? What did I say last? Oh shit. What was it? Urns, yes. In the same urn, yes, ashes. Yeah, so that makes me wonder. That makes me wonder, really, that when we say that life after death and we'll probably unite in death, even in those times, despite this being a strong belief, weren't there the slightest of the doubts regarding this? And don't you think that age a prayer to get their ashes to be confined in one single urn somehow expresses that doubt? Do you think that it expresses the doubt regarding the existence of an afterlife and a possible union with Pyramus in the afterlife? I mean, if one would strongly believe that there is afterlife, and as soon as I am going to die, I am going to go to the other realm and there I would unite with my lover, tahole why does this prayer of the ashes of the two of them being kept in one single urn become so important? What are your views on this? Would you agree to me on this, that it expresses a slight doubt about the afterlife? Or would you like to differ? Would you like to say something different? Would you like to say that it actually does not really mean that she would have doubted the existence of an afterlife, and it's only a wish to, in some way, before dying, getting a consolation of sorts, some concrete way of kind of imagining their union? It's a very weird kind of a thing. I mean, I can exemplify this using a very funny example, okay? But before that, before I put forward that example, I would really like you to say whether you think that Avishta expresses the doubt of Thisbe about the existence of an afterlife. I would like you to sort of say if you think so. Come on, say something. I personally believe that it speaks of that doubt because this wish to have their ashes in one urn is the only material way of compensating such a possible union, which if someone doubts wouldn't know if it would happen or not. Hence this one promise, this one prayer, and making that prayer or the last wish a compulsory thing to be observed or perhaps executed by their parents, that appeal sort of would give consolation to a person who is about to die, not knowing whether there is life after death. And if this wish is fulfilled, perhaps in some roundabout manner, it would give her the consolation of having united after death, if there is no afterlife. It's a false illusion of kind of a union. So that is how I would like to look at it. So I would like to know your views on this, though. What you think? Exactly, exactly. And do you agree on the fact that that also speaks about uh, the doubts about afterlife? Or do you think that despite she being very sure about the existence of an afterlife, this rests as a separate and individual and independent wish to somehow materially have the satisfaction or consolation of togetherness? What would you say about that? And this, yes. So, okay. So, you would say that যদি সে বিলিভ করেও থাকতো in life after death, তাহলেও this wish was another individual wish to have a material consolation of sorts, right? That is what you're trying to say, right? Okay, I accept that point. That's perfectly logical. Okay. And then this kind of resonates in various cases, like ঠিক যেরকম শাহজাহান wanted himself to be buried right beside Mumtaz when he died, right? So it was not dependent on whether he believed that he might rise after death and they both might rise after death, and or in the form of spirits or whatever. It did not depend on that. Yes, so Shah Jahan just wanted, this was his last wish, that when I die, get me to be buried right beside Mumtaz, right? Yes. And then you can, this tendency, this wish to uh, uh, feel materially connected with someone or the other through concrete objects or weird ways of it's half in the psychology and half in the mind and half in the material objects around you. This is a tendency of lovers to do this, like ki hoy. So a person might have sat in a place. স্কুলে খুব দেখা যায় যে একটি ছেলে একটি মেয়েকে ক্লাসে পছন্দ করে, সেই মেয়েটি অমুক দিন অমুক বেঞ্চে বসেছিল, সেদিনকে সে আসেনি, ছেলেটি যে করে হোক চেষ্টা করে ওই জায়গাটায় গিয়ে বসতে, অথবা অমুক বোতল থেকে সে জল খেয়েছিল, সেখান থেকে একটু জল খেলো, অ্যান্ড somehow that gives them a weird kind of satisfaction. So it's very childish, but it's very weird, but I think it's completely logical somehow. Emotionally logical perhaps, it's not practically logical. So practical logic and emotional logic vary. And then the next few lines, okay. Yes, so when love, acha, oh see our ashes in one urn confined, whom love at first and fate at last has joined. So love had joined us first, so we fell in love and our togetherness was brought about by love, and now fate has joined us. বাবু ওটা ইউটিউবের ভিডিওটা অরিজিৎ একটু দেখে নিও, ওখানে রিপিট করলে হবে, বিকজ we'll have to go forward with it. Already we spent a lot of time in other things. তো ওখানে তুমি রিমাইন্ড পাবে, ইউটিউবে রিমাইন্ড করে করে শুনে নেবে, ওকে? এবার যদি কিছু বুঝতে না পারো বলো, আমি কমেন্টে বলে দেবো, ঠিক আছে? So whom love at first and fate at last has joined, holo acha, the bliss you envied is not our request, lovers when dead may sure together rest. So there's another very important topic surrounding this. I'll talk about it in a minute. So the bliss you envied, okay, the bliss you envied, what was the bliss that they envied? Their earthly togetherness, worldly togetherness, living together, spending their lives together, uniting together emotionally, physically, in their lives of togetherness, in their life of togetherness. That was the bliss, that was the heavenly pleasure they envied. And the family members being jealous of two lovers, young lovers, in uniting, that actually again has a lot of connotations, okay? কদিন আগে moral policing কাকে বলে? Moral policing is the kind of thing that is done by elderly people when they see two young people engaging in something which is not exactly ethically incorrect, or it's completely up to their own sense of freedom or their sense of liberty on whether they want to engage in something like this or not. কিন্তু সেটাকে বাধা দেওয়ার চেষ্টা. So be it anything, this applies to anything, but since we are talking of love here, we'll focus on the moral policing surrounding love, okay? So kind of কদিন আগে একটা ঘটনা, এবং বিভিন্ন ক্ষেত্রে দেশের বিভিন্ন প্রান্তে ঘটেছে. So in the metro, a couple was beaten up by a group of elderly men. They were beaten up being accused that they were standing too close to each other. মেট্রোতে মোটামুটি ভিড় থাকলে এমনিতেই লোকে ভীষণ গা ঘেঁষাঘেঁষি করে দাঁড়াতে হয়। অ্যাপারেন্টলি এদের বক্তব্য ছিল, যারা এদেরকে মারল ধরে, যে তারা খুব কাছাকাছি দাঁড়িয়ে ছিল, ইট ওয়াজ অবসিনিক অ্যান্ড এভরিথিং। বাট অ্যাকচুয়ালি what it speaks about is the kind of jealousy of these elderly men who beat up the young couple. The young couple, even if they had stood close and not being committed in some other kind of act which would have been unfit in a metro, তাহলে তাদের মধ্যেকার যে ইমোশনটা আছে সেখান থেকে তারা যদি কাছাকাছি দাঁড়িয়ে থাকাতে কিছু অনুভবও করে, তাতে অন্য কারুর কোনো সমস্যা হওয়ার কথা না। ইটস দেয়ার ওন ফ্রিডম, ইটস দেয়ার ওন লিবার্টি। বাট সেটা ওয়াজ বিং হিন্ডার্ড, ওয়াজ বিং ভায়োলেটেড অ্যান্ড বিং এনক্রোচড আপন বাই দিজ এল্ডারলি মেন হু বিট আপ দ্য কাপল। তাদের ধরে মারধর করলো নৃশংসভাবে, ছেলেটিকে ভীষণ মারল। যখন দুজন প্রেমিক প্রেমিকা কোনো শীতের সন্ধ্যেবেলায় রাস্তা দিয়ে হাঁটছে, কোনো নির্জল গলিতে কিছুটা প্রাইভেসি পেয়ে তারা হয়তো হাত ধরাধরি করে হাঁটলো, কিংবা না হয় ধরে নিলাম কোনো এক অন্ধকার কোনায় গিয়ে একটু চুমু খেলো, হতেই পারে। কিন্তু ব্যাপার হচ্ছে সাধারণ মানুষের রিয়াকশন কীরকম হয়, এটা দেখা মাত্র তাদেরকে হয় তাড়া করে, নাহলে আজে বাজে গালিগালাজ করে, অথবা তাদের ধরে মারে। Why do people do this? This is actually stemming from a kind of jealousy which oftentimes is stemming from sexual jealousy. So এই মানুষগুলো যারা ধরে মারছে, তারা তাদের জীবনের অনেক না পাওয়া ক্ষোভগুলোকে উগরে দেওয়ার জন্য সর্বদা উন্মত্ত হয়ে রয়েছে, এবং সর্বদা তারা অপেক্ষমান কোনো একটা সুযোগের। সেই জন্য রাস্তাঘাটে রোড রেজ যখন হয়, কোনো ছোটোখাটো ব্যাপার নিয়ে ঝামেলা হয়, সেটা এতখানি বাড়াবাড়ি পর্যায়ে চলে যাওয়ার একটা বড় কারণ আচ্ছা অরিজিৎ, সেটা হয়তো তোমার পার্সোনাল মতামত, আই বিলিভ আদারওয়াইজ। ওকে, যাই হোক, তো এটা বাড়াবাড়ি পর্যায়ে চলে যাওয়ার একটা বড় কারণ হচ্ছে যে মানুষ সেখানে তার পার্সোনাল অ্যাগ্রেশনগুলো বার করে দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করে, তার জীবনের সমস্ত না পাওয়া ওইখানে পুষিয়ে নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করে। দে ওয়ান্ট টু ভেন্ট আউট দেয়ার ফিলিংস অফ বটলড আপ অ্যাঙ্গার, অফেন টাইমস অন ইনোসেন্ট পিপল। মারামারির ক্ষেত্রে অনেক সময় রাস্তাঘাটে যে দুজনকে কেন্দ্র করে মারামারি, তার বাইরেও লোকজন ইনভলভ হয়ে পড়ে। কেন? সে তার বাবা, কাকা, মামা, ছেলে, দাদা, বোন কেউ নয়। হঠাৎ এ ওকে ধরে মারছে, ওকে কে কাকে মারছে, কে কার দলে, সেটাই অর্ধেক সময় খেয়াল নেই। যে যাকে পাচ্ছে ধরে মেরে দিচ্ছে দুমদাম। I think I talked about this before as well. So that aggression is, এবং তোমাদের আমি একটা লিঙ্ক আমি দেব, চন্দ্রিল ভট্টাচার্য, তোমরা নাম শুনেছো, দেখেওছো, ইজ আ গ্রেট ওরেটার এজ ওয়েল, ভালো ডিবেট করেন, লেখালেখি করেন ভীষণভাবে, চন্দ্রবিন্দু লিরিসিস্ট, ভেরি ইন্টেলেকচুয়াল পার্সন। তার মতামত শুনবে সেখানে কি বলছেন তিনি। অফেন টাইমস দিজ আর রেজাল্টস অফ নট just those deprivations or frustrations in their personal lives, but also sexual jealousy. So তার কামনা অপূর্ণ থেকে যাওয়া মুহূর্তগুলোর যে রাগ, সেগুলোকে তারা এইভাবে উগরে বার করে দেয়। সো অফেন টাইমস কাপলস বিকাম আ প্রে, মানে শিকার হয়ে যায় তারা এরম ধরনের সেক্সুয়াল জেলাসির, যৌন হিংসা যাকে বলা হয়। সো দ্য এনভি হিয়ার থিসবি টক্স অ্যাবাউট, তার কিছুটা ডেফিনেটলি সেক্সুয়াল জেলাসিও বটে। টু লাভার্স ইউনাইটিং অনেকেই সহ্য করতে পারছিল না। সো কোথায় গেল? হ্যাঁ, দ্য ব্লিস ইউ এনভি ইজ নট আওয়ার রিকোয়েস্ট, সো নাও উই আর ডাইং। সেই ব্লিস, সেই টুগেদারনেস, এটা আমাদের রিকোয়েস্ট নয়, আর আমাদের সেটা অনুরোধ নয়। বাট লাভার্স when dead may sure together rest, at least মৃত্যুর পরে at least they might rest together. This minimum you should allow us, this minimum chance you must allow us. You must allow us to rest together এইটুকু অধিকার আমাদের আছে, রাইট? আচ্ছা, thou tree where now one lifeless lump is laid. Again alliteration. Thou tree where now one lifeless lump is laid, ere long o'er too shalt cast a friendly shade. Huh? So thou tree where now one lifeless lump is laid. হ্যাঁ, এবার ট্রিকে অ্যাড্রেস করে বলছে, দ্য মালবেরি ট্রি, যে দাও ট্রি, ইউ ট্রি, শোনো, আন্ডার হুম one lifeless lump is laid. এই মুহূর্তে one lifeless lump, a lifeless body is lying there, will soon become two in number, ere long over two shall cast a friendly shade. মানে thou tree shall cast a friendly shade over two now, ere long, so before long, মানে soon, very soon enough, you will be casting a friendly shade over two bodies where now one lifeless body is lying. Okay, ere long over two shall cast a friendly shade. Still let our loves from thee be understood, still witness in thy purple fruit our blood. So now তুমি সাক্ষী রইলে আমাদের ভালোবাসার, অ্যান্ড তোমাকে দেখে let our loves be understood. ওকে, আমাদের মধ্যেকার ভালোবাসার কথা যেন বোঝা যায় তোমাকে দেখে, it becomes evident from the way you look, and still witness in thy purple fruit our blood. অ্যান্ড তোমার এই পার্পলিশ রেড ফলগুলোর মধ্যে থেকে দেখে যেন বোঝা যায় দ্যাট ইউ উইটনেসড, তুমি সাক্ষী ছিলে আমাদের রক্তপাতের। She spoke, and in her bosom plunged the sword, all warm and reeking from its slaughtered lord. Okay, she spoke, and in her bosom plunged the sword. So এই কথাটুকু বলে she plunged the sword inside her heart. Okay, নিজের বুকে তলোয়ারটা গেঁথে দিল। all warm and reeking, the sword মানে সোর্ডটা was still warm and reeking, okay, from its slaughtered lord. সো সেই তলোয়ারটা তখনও উষ্ণ, ইয়ের রক্তে, পিরামাসের রক্তে, সদ্য মৃত পিরামাসের রক্তে তলোয়ারটা তখনও উষ্ণ হয়ে আছে, অ্যান্ড রিকিং, ইট ওয়াজ স্মেলিং অফ ব্লাড, রিকিং ফ্রম ইটস স্লটার্ড লর্ড। ওকে, ফ্রম ইটস স্লটার্ড লর্ড, দ্য লর্ড অফ দ্য সোর্ড মানে এই সোর্ডের মালিক পিরামাস নিজে, তাকে মেরে, তলোয়ারটা তাকে মারার পর, সে তার মৃত্যুর পর তখনও গরম এবং তা থেকে রক্তের গন্ধ তখনও উঠছিল। দ্য প্রেয়ার উইচ ডাইং থিসবি হ্যাড প্রেফার্ড বোথ গডস অ্যান্ড পেরেন্টস উইথ কম্প্যাশন হার্ড। সো দ্য প্রেয়ার উইচ থিসবি, ডাইং থিসবি হ্যাড প্রেফার্ড, যে ইচ্ছা সে পোষণ করেছিল এবং ব্যক্ত করেছিল, সেটা বোথ দ্য গডস অ্যান্ড দ্য পেরেন্টস। So not only the parents to whom it was addressed originally, not only the parents heard her prayers, but even the gods heard her prayers. Okay, the whiteness of the mulberry soon fled, and ripening saddened in a dusky red. So the mulberries, which were white, they soon turned red and ripening. So যেগুলো কাঁচা ছিল সেগুলো পাকলো, এবং পাকার সময় they saddened in a dusky red. So they saddened as if it was the color of sadness and grief, in mourning of the death of these two lovers, and in a dusky red, dusk, approaching evening, সন্ধ্যা আসছে যখন, so এই approaching, now dusky red would mean the red that covers the skies during sunset, and right after sunset when it's dusk, ওই সময় যে লাল আভাটা আকাশে তখনও ছেয়ে থাকে, which is of a bit darker nature than how it looks like right before the sunset. Just সূর্যটা তখন অস্ত যায়নি, তখন যে লালটা সেটা একটা টকটকে লাল, কিন্তু জাস্ট সূর্যটা ডুবে যাওয়ার পরবর্তী যে লালটা, যেটা অ্যাপ্রোচিং ইভিনিংয়ের সময় থাকছে, দ্যাট ইজ দ্য ডাস্কি রেড, উইচ ইজ দ্য ডার্কার রেড, যে ডার্কার শেড অফ রেড which we find in the fruit. While both their parents their lost children mourn, and mix their ashes in one golden urn. So now the parents are repenting and listening to their prayers. They wished to execute their last wishes, and তাই জন্য they mourned their lost children অ্যান্ড তাদের মধ্যে আর কোনো রইল না, কোনো গণ্ডগোল রইল না, তারা একত্রে একসঙ্গে হয়ে তাদের হারিয়ে যাওয়া সন্তানদের অস্থি একটা সোনালি অর্ণের মধ্যে করে দে মিক্সড ইট, অ্যান্ড দাস দ্য উইশ অফ থিসবি অ্যান্ড পিরামাস ওয়াজ ফুলফিল্ড. Thus did the melancholy tale conclude, and a short silent interval ensued. So thus did the melancholy tale conclude, and now thus after this and so did the melancholy tale conclude. The sad story ended. আমার গল্পটি ফুরলো, নোটে গাছটি মুড়লো, and a short silent interval ensued. And there was a short silent pause. No one spoke in mourning of the lovers due to being engulfed in the sadness of the tale. A short silent interval ensued. Mane came over. Followed, that is. Ensued mane followed. Okay. The next in birth unloosed her artful tongue and drew attentive all the sister throng. The next in birth unloosed her artful tongue and drew attentive all the sister throng. So now, after the short silence was over, the next in birth মানে এ ছিল সবচেয়ে বড়. অ্যালকিথি ওয়াজ দ্য এল্ডেস্ট ডটার. সো তারপরের জন মেজরজন যে she loosed her artful tongue. She loosed her tongue মানে LOOSED, loosed. ওকে, মানে লুজেন্ড বেসিক্যালি বলা. সো সে তার মানে এতক্ষণ আটকে রাখা কথাবার্তা সবাই যে চুপচাপ ছিল, she loosed her artful tongue. So she began speaking. Her artful tongue মানে সে মানে তারও কথা বলার দক্ষতা সেই রকম, হ্যাঁ, কথাটা বলাটার মধ্যে একটা শিল্প আছে, শৈল্পিক সেই কথা বলা, শৈল্পিক সেই স্টোরি টেলিং. শি লুজ হার আর্টফুল টাং অ্যান্ড ড্রু অ্যাটেন্টিভ অল দ্য সিস্টার থ্রং. সো ড্রু দ্য অ্যাটেনশন অফ দ্য রেস্ট অফ দ্য সিস্টার্স অ্যাজ শি বিগ্যান হার নিউ টেল, হার স্টোরি, অ্যাজ শি বিগ্যান হার স্টোরি. আর সেই স্টোরিটা কোনটা না, দ্য স্টোরি অফ লিউকথি অ্যান্ড দ্য সান, যেটা তোমাদের নেই. সো উই আর ডান উইথ the only portion you had in your syllabus in book 4, right? Acha. So now that we have done the text more or less, এরপরে পরের দিন তো আমাদের এটা করতে হবে, as I said, যে we'll be talking about those different names of Bacchus, and also the other tales that Alkithi was considering to tell to the other sisters before she chose the Pyramus and Thisbe myth to narrate. So এই অন্য টেলগুলো কি সেগুলো আমাদের একটু দেখতে হবে, and Bacchus's other names. But today, to conclude, I'll be talking about those two references. One is the Othello reference. So there he kisses Desdemona before killing her. So what I think is সেখানে কিছুটা হলেও sexual jealousy আছে. And that kiss, the way he expresses, the language in which he talks about the kiss, it talks of the pleasurable feelings of kiss. But now definitely Othello loved her. So there would be a lot of emotional aspects to it. But still the physicality of the kiss cannot be denied either. And then it was sexual jealousy. And there, living, the survival of Desdemona was not more important to him. That his sexual jealousy was instigated by a thought that Desdemona might have cheated on him. So, Othello's love, that I cannot help but look at as shallow, as superficial. যেটা ওথেলো সেই সময় দাঁড়িয়ে করছে, ইটস কাইন্ড অফ দ্য সেম থিং পারহ্যাপস which young people have done in recent times. লাভারদের মধ্যে কেউ অ্যাসিড বাল্ব ছুঁড়ছে, কেউ তাকে খুন করছে, because they either did not accept their proposals or did not sort of want to come into a relationship, or perhaps they got entangled into some other relationship. I'm not saying that that is not a breach of morality. একটা রিলেশনশিপে থাকতে গিয়ে কাউকে চিট করে ফেলা বা চিট করা সেটা মরালি করাপ্ট নয় তা বলছি না, বা এথিক্যালি রং নয় বলছি না, বাট সব কিছুর মরালিটি প্রথমত খুব সোজাভাবে বিচার করা মুশকিল. লাইফ ইজ ওয়ে মোর কমপ্লিকেটেড দ্যান দ্যাট, অ্যান্ড ইভেন দেন যদি তা মরালি করাপ্ট হয়ও তার শাস্তি দেওয়ার কেউ নয় এই লাভার যে অ্যাসিড বাল্ব ছুটছে বা তাকে গিয়ে মারছে. সেইখানে এথিক্স, মরালিটি আর তার শাস্তির দায়ভারটা নিজের হাতে তুলে নেওয়ার কেউ নয় সে. দ্যাট ইজ মোর ইম্পর্টেন্ট. নাথিং ক্যান জাস্টিফাই such aggressive actions, or nothing can justify the murder that such a lover commits. Nothing can justify that. জীবনের চেয়ে বেশি ইম্পর্টেন্ট কিছু হতে পারে না. So and then I believe that if love is true, one wouldn't want to kill the other one. তার কাছে এটাই ইম্পর্টেন্ট হয়ে দাঁড়াবে, হ্যাঁ ডেফিনেটলি সে অন্যায় করেছে, সে চিট করেছে, বাট যার সাথে যাওয়ার জন্য চিট করলো তার সাথে ও ভালো থাকলে ভালো থাকুক, তার ভালো থাকাটাকে কেড়ে নিতে সে চাইবে না. যদি সে চায় তাহলে ইটস প্লেন অ্যান্ড সিম্পল জেলেসি, অ্যান্ড সেক্সুয়াল জেলেসি তো আছেই তার মধ্যে, বিকজ সে তার প্রেমিকা অন্য কারোর সাথে ভালো থাকছে সব দিক দিয়ে, ফিজিক্যালি, ইমোশনালি, জীবনে সব দিক থেকে ভালো থাকছে, এটা যদি ভেবে তার মানে কষ্ট, তার চলে যাওয়ার কষ্ট থাকবে, তার সে তাকে চিট করেছে সেটা থাকবে, বাট এটা ভেবে যদি তার এত জেলেসি হয় যে সে তাকে মেরে ফেলতে চায়, তাহলে সেই প্রেম বা সেই ভালোবাসা টু মি ইটস ভেরি সুপারফিশিয়াল. সেটা হ্যাজেন্ট ক্রসড এনি বাউন্ডারিজ, ইট হ্যাজেন্ট ট্রান্সেন্ডেন্ট. তার জেনুইন হওয়া নিয়ে যথেষ্ট সন্দেহ আছে. হ্যাঁ, অফেন টাইমস সেক্সুয়াল জেলাসির জন্য হয় অরিজিৎ, যাই হোক, এবং সেগুলো ইনভলভড. সো কাইন্ড অফ হোয়াট ওথেলো ইজ ডুইং, ইটস অলমোস্ট রেমিনিসেন্ট অফ হোয়াট দিস ইয়াং পিপল নাওয়াডেজ আর ডুইং. অ্যাসিড বাল্ব ছুটছে, তার মুখটা চিরজীবনের জন্য নষ্ট করে দিচ্ছে. Exactly, Shushmita. How can that person kill her? How can he take her life away? So, which is the reason why Othello's way of killing Desdemona, I find Othello's love very superficial, okay? And then the language in which he describes the kiss, ki bolche? It is the cause. It is the cause, my soul. Oh, let me not name it to you, you chaste stars. It is the cause. Yet I'll not shed her blood, nor scar that whiter skin of hers than snow. So yet I'll not shed her blood. He's not shedding blood, but he's killing her, all right? And yet I'll not shed her blood, nor scar that whiter skin of hers than snow. So when he's killing her, he's taking her life away, but he's saying that I will not scar that whiter skin of hers than snow. তার সেই তুষার শুভ্র, যে মানে তুষার শুভ্র চামড়া, মানে ত্বক, মানে গায়ের চামড়া, বা তুষারের চেয়ে শুভ্র তার যে মানে স্কিন, সেটাকে আমি স্কার করবো না. সো হি ইজ স্ট্রাইভিং টু কিপ ডেসডেমোনাস বিউটি ইনট্যাক্ট, but not her life. How is it not superficial love then? If emotions and genuine care is supposed to be here, তাহলে তার সৌন্দর্যকে অক্ষত রাখছে, তাকে মেরে ফেলছে, তাহলে সে তার সৌন্দর্যকেই ভালোবেসেছিল. Where is the emotion then? He's saying, nor scar that whiter skin of hers than snow, smooth as monumental alabaster. Smooth as monumental alabaster. So white as snow, or whiter than snow, and smooth like alabaster. Alabaster stone, মানে সেই স্মুথ মার্বেলের মতো সেই রকম স্মুথ তার স্কিন, আর সেটাকে সে স্কার করতে চায় না. সো হি ইজ ট্রাইং টু রিটেন হার বিউটি. smooth as monumental alabaster, yet she must die, else she betray more men. Put out the light, and then put out the light. So put out the light, first he extinguishes the candle, and then put out the light. He looks at Desdemona and says, put out the light. Put out the life of Desdemona. If I quench thee, thou flaming minister, I can thy former light restore, should I repent me. But for once, put out thy light, thou cunningest pattern of excelling nature. I know not where is the Promethean heat that can thy light relume. So he's extinguishing the candle, then he's talking of extinguishing Desdemona's life, and then he says to the candle, if I quench thee, thou flaming minister, তোমাকে যদি আমি নিভিয়ে দিই, I can thy former light restore, should I repent me. আমি যদি রিগ্রেটও করি, I can thy former light restore, আমি তোমাকে আবার জ্বালাতে পারবো দেশলাই কাঠি দিয়ে. But once put out thy light, ডেসডিমোনাকে বলছে উদ্দেশ্য করে মনে মনে, thou cunningest pattern of excelling nature. So nature, pagan যে ফোর্স, নেচারের ফোর্স, ঈশ্বর নয়, nature's force has created, nature has created Desdemona, and thou cunningest pattern of excelling nature, the artwork of nature, excelling nature, যা তোমাকে এরকম সুন্দর সৃষ্টি করেছে. I know not where is that Promethean heat. প্রমিথিউসের যে গল্প ছিল, সে আগুন এনেছিল, তা মানব জাতিকে বহু সভ্যতায় এগিয়ে নিয়ে গেছে. So where is that Promethean heat? সেই রকম একটা প্রমিথিয়ান বলতে এখানে সেই ইনিশিয়েশনের কথা বোঝাচ্ছে. প্রমিথিয়ান হিট দ্যাট ক্যান দাই লাইট রিলিউম, আমি জানি না কিভাবে তোমার মধ্যে, তোমাকে একবার মেরে ফেলার পর আমি তোমার মধ্যে আবার প্রাণ সঞ্চার করতে পারবো. সো আই ক্যান দ্যাট লাইট রিলিউম, বাট ওয়ান্স পুট আউট দাই লাইট, I know not, thou cunningest pattern of excelling nature, I know not where is that Promethean heat that can thy light relume. When I've plucked the rose and cannot give it vital growth again. Rose is one of the most beautiful flowers, and সেটাকে যখন when I've plucked the rose, তুলে ফেলেছি বোটা থেকে ছিঁড়ে, and I cannot give it vital growth again, আমি তাকে তার ভাইটাল গ্রোথ দিতে পারবো না, আর তো তার প্রাণ ফেরাতে পারবো না. and it must needs wither, and it must wither, জোরে শুকিয়ে যাবে, হয়ে যাবে, নষ্ট হয়ে যাবে. I must smell it on the tree before I pluck it, আর কি, I must smell it on the tree. He says this. So before I pluck it, I must smell the rose on the tree, because it will wither away. And saying this, he kisses Desdemona. So Desdemona is the rose he's about to pluck, and he smells it on the tree. While she is alive, he is enjoying another kiss. While he is enjoying another kiss, which speaks of her beauty, which speaks of her appeal, her attractive quality, how can that kiss be emotional? I find it very physical. Definitely some amount of emotions are entwined along with it, but it's very physical too. I shall smell it on the tree. And then how is he describing that kiss? Balmy breath that dost almost persuade justice to break her sword. Balmy breath. Remember I mentioned this once. Balmy breath, sweet smelling breath, while he kisses her. So it all talks about her appeal and very strong sexual connotations. Sweet smelling breath, a kiss, all of these very physical connotations. Balmy breath that dost almost persuade justice to break her sword. এত মধুর সেই চুম্বন যে, এবং সেই এত সুগন্ধিতা নিঃশ্বাস যে, that almost persuades justice to break her sword. জাস্টিস ফেল করে যাক, যে জাস্টিসটা ও মনে করছে ও করছে ডেসডিমোনাকে খুন করে, সেই প্রিন্সিপাল সে দরকার হলে ভেঙে ফেলতে পারে ফর দ্য সেক অফ দিস কিস, বাট নট ফর দ্য সেক অফ হ্যাভিং ডেসডিমোনা অ্যালাইভ. সে বেঁচে থাকবে, সে ভালো থাকবে তার জন্য নয়, বাট ফর দ্য সেক অফ দিস কিস হি ইজ ready to compromise with his sense of justice for the kiss, not for Desdemona who's going to be alive. Think about it. Balmy breath, the dust almost persuade to break justice to break her sword. One more. So arecta, and then be thus when thou art dead, and I'll kill thee and love thee after. সো এরকমই থেকো তোমার মৃত্যুর পরে, তোমাকে আমি যখন মেরে ফেলবো তারপরে এরকম থেকো। সো আইল কিল ইউ অ্যান্ড দেন আই লাভ দি আফটার, অ্যান্ড দিস লাভ ইজ দিস কিসিং ফিজিক্যাল লাভ। আইল কিল দি, আমি তোমায় মেরে ফেলবো, দেন তোমার এই মৃত শরীরটাতে আই লাভ দি আফটার। যে লাভ ইজ ইমোশনাল, যে লাভ স্পিরিচুয়াল, সে তাকে মারা যাওয়ার পরে তার শরীরটা এরকম থেকে আলাদা করে সে কী পাচ্ছে, আলাদা করে তাকে কি ভালোবাসতে পারছে। সো দেন দ্যাট অবভিয়াসলি ইজ ফিজিক্যাল লাভ। আই লাভ দি আফটার। This sorrow is heavenly, and all of the things that he says afterwards. So that's the Othello bit I was trying to talk about, Mane, I find it starkly different from how Thisbe kisses Pyramus. Okay? Now, the final reference that I was talking about, এই Pyramus and Thisbe এপিসোডটা থেকে, মেটামরফোসিসের এই এপিসোডটা থেকে Shakespeare took the inspiration for Romeo and Juliet. Okay? Romeo and Juliet এর শেষ অংশে the basic concept is the same. Romeo and Juliet fell in love with each other. Their parents had a fight. Their parents did not approve of their relationship. They still secretly continued with their love. Okay? And what came out of it? Nothing, suffering, and finally the death of these two lovers, after which the parents repented, having sort of blocked them out completely, and they let them be united in death. এর পাশে শুইয়ে দিল। বাট ওই নিচে ওই শেষ সিনে যেখানে থিঙ্কিং দ্যাট মানে এপিলেপটিক একটা অবস্থায় একটা ওষুধের জন্য জুলিয়েট যেখানে অজ্ঞান হয়েছিল, যেটাকে রোমিও ভুল করেছিল জুলিয়েটের মৃত্যু হিসেবে, মৃত্যু ভেবে, সো হি হ্যাড স্ট্যাবড হিমসেলফ উইথ হিজ নাইফ, অ্যান্ড ওয়েন জুলিয়েট গট হার সেন্সেস ব্যাক, she woke up to find Romeo having stabbed himself. Okay? এবং যে পয়জনের শিশিটা ছিল, যেটার জন্য she almost died, she thought, মানে Romeo thought she died, হ্যাঁ, একটা পয়জনের শিশি পড়েছিল, সেটাকে খালি দেখে Romeo thought that Juliet had drunk poison and killed herself. Okay? এবং সেইখানে he kissed Juliet, thinking that he might get a few drops of poison from there, which might kill him. But then he stabbed himself too to make sure that he died, thinking Juliet to be dead. When Juliet woke up and found Romeo to be dead, having stabbed himself, she took out that very knife and stabbed herself in the breast, and she died falling beside Romeo. You can see the obvious parallels with the Pyramus and Thisbe myth. So this served as Shakespeare's inspiration for Romeo and Juliet. Okay, and there again the kiss that Romeo kissed Juliet was again a bit different. It was not sexual. Again, he had kissed her lips, but now it was for a different purpose. He wanted to drain out a few more drops of poison, which he thought Juliet might have drank, and kill himself as well. So the contrast, Right, so with this আমাদের শেষ হলো মেটামরফোসিসের টেক্সটের পোর্শন কটা তোমাদের যা আছে সিলেবাসে। এরপর আফটার উই আর ডান উইথ ক্রিটিক্যাল স্টাডিজ অ্যান্ড we have explored through various themes and the essays and questions of sorts, এই সমস্ত হয়ে যাওয়ার পরেও যদি আমাদের সেমিস্টারের শেষের দিকে সময় পড়ে থাকে, then we'll be doing the rest of the portions from book 3 and the rest of the portions from book 4, if you all are interested in doing that. Okay? And then I wanted to make another reference to Raven. I think I'm forgetting. Well, if I remember later on, I definitely will. And did I tell you? Okay, so if I take another class in the evening for Raven, not for this. So Raven এর উপরে যদি লাস্ট কনক্লুডিং ক্লাসটা আমরা নিই, দ্য রেভেন অরিজিন হিস্ট্রি ফ্রম মেটামরফোসিস। মেটামরফোসিসে রেভেনের যে গল্পটা ছিল, যেখানে সাদা রেভেন কীভাবে কালো হলো, সেই গল্পটা যদি আমরা করি, তাহলে আজকে বিকেলে আমরা সেটা করলেও করতে পারি। ওকে, সো that being said and done, we are done, and I need to go up and go downstairs and fill up some water. Okay, so goodbye everyone. See you soon.